When the final bell rings, there is only one place to go.
Wrestling Unwrapped.
To the max!
Here we are, everybody. We are ready and ready. Gable, if you want to say it that way, because we are talking Battleground 2016. I like to say that whole deal. I can't wait for American Alpha. I wish they would have shown up at this pay-per-view. They didn't, of course. But we had plenty of other NXT superstars show up and make their presence known. So that is something you'll have to wait and find out about when we actually talk about this show. Battleground 2016. We are here, Wrestling Unwrapped, and I am, of course, joined by... this is Wrestling Unwrapped to the max, actually. I am screwing this whole thing up.
Wow.
I'm joining your show, Patrick. I'm Harry. I'm playing the part of Harry tonight, Patrick. Is that okay with you?
I was just wondering if you were going to catch what you had just said.
I know, man. I got Wrestling Unwrapped on the mind because it's Sunday night. This is when Wrestling Unwrapped goes down every Sunday night. If you are Wrestling to the Max listener, you know about this because we always promote the network, which has Wrestling Unwrapped. And that's a shame because you guys are not together tonight, but at least, Patrick, you are representing Wrestling Unwrapped. Me, Sean, and Paul, of course, are W2M, so we are representing the Wrestling to the Max part. But, Patrick, it's so awesome to have you here, and are you ready to talk about this pay-per-view?
Definitely. The final pay-per-view before the brand split takes full part. I can't wait.
And Paul, I'm jumbling mess over here. I'm just getting too excited about talking about it. I know you're ready to start this thing off, but man, this has been a crazy, basically a big events happening in one event,
Yeah, it was a really, really fun show. I'm really excited to talk about it.
And Sean, man, of course, we have that beautiful music, the Battleground music that some love and some just hate.
Yeah, we do. To play that in this. Now that we've all butchered this intro, I
know.
I had apparently unmuted myself, and I was telling you to start on the air. So that's always great too.
We should just start all over again. No, we're not doing that. Screw that. This is just too much fun. It's okay. No, it's just too much fun. Just to, let's all just mess up. How about that? It's more entertaining that way, if you ask me. It's very real. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's go ahead and start talking Battleground because we got plenty to say. We'll be right back with it next.
Give me a second. I was messing with the picture thing right when you said
beautiful picture. Beautiful picture.
Hope will be torn. Whose side are you fighting for? This is a war.
All right. Well, let's get this thing going. Let's start with the main event of this show because it is a very important main event. Why? Well, simply put, this main event determined where the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or as WB calls it, just the WWE Championship, what brand it goes to, Raw or SmackDown. And this was between Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, the actual champ, and Seth Rollins, the number one draft pick overall in the WWE draft. And boys, this one was kind of interesting. I thought it was a fun match. This is the former Shield all together once again, and I don't know how many more times we'll get the chance to see that since they're on separate brands now. But Paul, looking at this whole thing, how did you feel? Did this live up to the hype? And how did you feel about Dean Ambrose retaining that WWE Championship?
Pretty damn excited, honestly. I'm a big fan of Dean Ambrose. So, honestly, it was either this or you have the double pin situation, and they went with this, and I applaud them because everybody was thinking it's going to Raw, and it's not. It's going to SmackDown. As for the match, the beginning was fairly boring, if you ask me. They found its way eventually, though. Big finish all the way all the way to the final fall. So anytime Rollins going to do a superplex into a Falcon Arrow, I'll always mark. So
Definitely. Patrick, I mean, this was a big deal, of course, and this all determined, what was going to happen in the future, at least with the championship until we get to probably SummerSlam. What was your thought process on this whole match and the way it worked out?
Excuse me, sorry. I think kind of the thing that surprised me the most was the fact that nothing happened. I think a lot of people were kind of expecting a possible double fall, or the title was going to go to the flagship show, since Raw, they kind of hammered that into the ground, especially Foley during the pre-show, flagship show stuff. But the fact that Ambrose wins it relatively cleanly, I was surprised, and I thought they had a great match here. A very, like you said, kind of slow to start, but once they got going, they got going. So I was really happy with how this match turned out.
I'm going to bring some other things into this because you guys just talked about the match. I mean, really, you guys made some good points. But, Sean, I think the other thing that really matters in all of this is the fact that we did have both commissioners and GMs from both brands on the outside of they were sitting there at ringside just kind of checking the whole thing out. Of course, we get the Shane and Daniel Bryan celebration with Ambrose after this whole match. But it led up the entire night about this. I mean, we had plenty of backstage stuff with Shane and Daniel Bryan, of course, with Ambrose himself. So what significance is this with this whole, belt situation?
Well, it's just them trying to really make it about the brands, that it's a big deal. Even Michael Cole put over at the end that I can't tell you how much of a big deal this is for SmackDown. And it sets that stage, right? They're trying to compete with each other. You heard Brian talk about the rating during the pre-show, which, I know Shane kind of brought that into the vernacular of we talk about ratings now on our program. But that's kind of like one of those first times that we really hear the actual performers in there talking about it and stuff. So, they need to find real ways to make this a serious thing because people know more now than they used to, even back when we had the original brand split. So it's rather significant that they're out there, and it's a win for SmackDown right now,
Definitely. It definitely is, because that's going to bring more eyes over to SmackDown. Maybe eyes that weren't willing to take that extra time. Now they kind of have to, even if they're not impressed by some of that roster. Now they're definitely going to be checking it out for sure. I think a great main event, a surprise, I think, for some of us. I know I chose Seth Rollins. I think in the, when we kind of did our show on Thursday for Wrestling to the Max, I think, did anybody have Ambrose? I can't remember.
Me.
You did. Oh, that's right, Paul. You got, Paul, you get it right too many times.
Yeah, Paul had Ambrose, and I think somebody of the 4 people that did the 4-1 roundtable, one person had Ambrose as well. I think it might have been Mark, actually. Mark helped me out with a list because I told him, I was like, I only got 2 people, man. Can you help me out? He's like, oh, sure. The dude that hardly ever watches wrestling.
He gets it right, man. Oof. Let's go ahead and move on to something else that's really interesting. Let's go ahead and talk about a match that I felt was going to be very interesting because of the fact that we're probably not going to get a chance to see half of this match again, and that is the fact that the club is no longer together. Well, at least, with AJ Styles a part of it, he's now on SmackDown. But they faced off against John Cena and Enzo and Kaz. And, first of all, before we get into the match itself, I got to know, Patrick, how did you feel as this build-up went with this whole promo at the beginning with, the normal Enzo and Kaz shtick?
Patrick?
I'm here. Sorry, you kind of cut off.
Oh, okay. I was just asking you what you thought about the whole promo situation with Enzo and Kaz doing their whole shtick before they got into the match against the club.
That may have been one of my favorite Enzo promos ever. Legitimately, because like, the whole thing was weird because for about what felt like the first half of the match, plus the promo, even preceding that, Cena didn't do a damn thing. Like, just nothing. And I found it really weird. Obviously, in the end, what would happen. But it was like he actually just stepped aside. And, yeah, that the whole promo and, I've already seen a meme posted, never look someone in the eye while eating a banana. It's already fake. So I absolutely love that promo. The match, I was kind of iffy about just because it felt like he kind of peaked and valleyed, like, really badly, more than, some matches do. It just seemed like nothing, multiple huge moves, nothing, multiple huge moves. The pacing of it seemed really, really odd. And I don't know if that was maybe just going through motions, knowing that, come tomorrow, this match really won't matter, because let's face it kind of won't. But the whole match felt weird to me.
I disagree with that. First things first, though, that promo, it's so awesome to watch somebody have a star-making performance. I'm pretty sure that's what this was for Enzo. Definitely one of his best promos. The live crowd, which was great the whole night, by the way, was super hot for this. And I think Enzo was sort of the glue of the match, too. He's the babyface in peril for most of it. He gets to do a lot of the big spots. Really, I think he knocked it out of the ballpark tonight. And I thought the match was fun. It was a fun little six-man tag sprint for the most part. You had your big spots at the beginning. Enzo works babyface in peril. You have the big spots at the end. Cena goes over clean, so you have that still going on SmackDown. And then you have Enzo and Cass feuding with the club, I'm assuming, over on Raw. It's easy peasy.
What do you think, Sean, about that? Do you agree with these guys? Where do you land?
I mean, it was a good match. I mean, I'll be honest, I was watching two things at once, so there's a lot of times where I wasn't paying attention necessarily to one match or the other. So, I kind of agree with Patrick a little bit that sometimes it felt like they were kind of going long to go long, and like this was the match they designated to go a little bit longer so they could waste time going up to the Randy Orton thing. It was still a very good match. I liked the way that they had some of the moves set in. Enzo got to do a lot more in here than I think we usually get to see him do. Mm-hmm. So that's always a good thing. I'm still, other than Anderson doing that one spot where he made the big save, I still feel like he's like that odd man in this team. It's clear that they have a thing with Gallows, but I don't know what the deal is with Anderson. Hopefully the him being on a show where they have more time for everybody, hopefully you'd think that they find something with him here, because other than doing the spine buster now, he still doesn't have a moveset. And it still bothers me because he's a better wrestler than Gallows. But yeah, just I didn't care for AJ losing, but that's this company's so weird. Sometimes they don't think about things like that.
SummerSlam, and it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's the fall. Cena's getting his fall back. It's not in a singles match, so you have a reason to have a rematch now.
They could have had a rematch without it.
I understand WWE doesn't usually need a reason, but they actually gave you one this time.
I don't think that's necessarily a reason. They already had that set in stone, that because he won by cheating.
So, New Japan and a whole ton of other places can do this same format in a six-man to lead to a match, and WWE can't?
No, I think they can, but in a different... They'd already set up that AJ lost in a shitty way, so then he loses again, or he won in a shitty way. Like,
and he went clean here when he has the other guys around, so now you have the rematch.
And now he has to do it on his own. He doesn't have the backup anymore because they're on the other show. Can he do it on his own? We know how this is going to go.
When Cena wins, it will mean absolute shit. So,
well, if Cena wins that match, I agree, but you have a reason to set it up now. So,
And I think AJ, for the most part, has set himself up to be a big star on SmackDown. And I don't really know that they're going to. I know it's John Cena, and it's maybe stupid to say, but I still feel like John Cena may basically pass the torch a little bit to AJ and say, we need to build more stars. You can take that pin. You can beat me, and I just don't know if John Cena wins. Yeah, I agree. I'm all with all you guys. John Cena win helps nobody at SummerSlam if that's the case. We'll have to wait. I mean, we don't know. We don't know the plan. I don't even know where they're going to go. I'm really interested with Gallows and Anderson, though. Man, this is going to be very strange. I kind of hope they have a plan that's with Finn Balor, but that probably won't happen right away. That'll probably take time. So. But saying all that, let's talk about something else that's very interesting. And I think, for the most part, I think we can all agree that segment. I just want to go ahead and mention it and get out of the way. The highlight reel with Randy Orton. I know, man.
He has John Cena on the brain right now.
I got Cena on the mind, man. Anyway. Let's talk about the fact that Jericho had Randy Orton on this highlight reel, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was cheesed out. This was the biggest waste of time I've seen in a long time, and I'm not a fan of Jericho's persona right now, this whole character that he's portraying. I get it. Some of the slang is from the 60s, and I love the 60s, but I'm not down with it completely. Randy Orton doesn't do a good job playing a face, if you ask me personally. I don't know, Sean. I mean, do you disagree with me? I did not like this.
I mean, it was Jericho doing a highlight reel in 2016. I mean, how many of these have really been great? Silence is golden, I guess, at this point.
It's just cheesy. I mean, I get it, but see, to me, this is supposed to be starting to build up the whole Brock Lesnar Randy Orton fight coming up, and this just to me is just like I could have saw this on a Raw Fallout.
Well, you had no Heyman because for some reason they think it's funny to carry out even imagining that you're gonna try to build this thing without Paul Heyman is stupid. So they're gonna have to pay him something, or they're gonna have to come up with some kind of short-term agreement or whatever. Even if Heyman doesn't want to be around very much longer, or who knows? But this is just it's right up Jericho, right? That's what Jericho does. He does cheesy stuff. Ever since he came back and tried to do the stupid whatever that catchphrase he tried to get over with New Day that sucked. It's like that's what he's been. And then he tries to be serious in his matches, and it's bad, And I did like how he keeps putting up the number of tacks that Ambrose puts in his arm. That was funny. Like, it went from like 39 to 50 to 69 this time to what's it gonna be 100 next time? Like, I think that was the only redeeming factor other than him getting RKO'd so he can shut up.
Well, okay, I found there to be one redeeming factor of this, and that was Randy Orton firing the shot at Brock.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was the whole reason to have this segment right there.
Yeah, it pretty much was. Which was, although, I swear to God, if Viperville becomes a thing, there's going to be problems. It's bad enough that we have Suplex City. But, yeah, the entire thing was cheesy. Randy Orton as a full-on babyface weirds me out. And I mean that. I don't know if it's just because you're used to 10 years almost of him being a heel or what, but just seeing him be like full-blown, I guess the saying would be white meat babyface kind of thing, which is kind of what he was here with the crowd and everything, weirded me the hell out.
Well, he's been a face before, though.
He's never been this babyface, though.
This. Yeah, not like this.
This is super, like Patrick said, white meat babyface, like Jeepers, guys, that sort of thing.
Maybe it's one of those, it's his return, and he'll go back to normal Randy Orton.
That's what I was going to say. I think he can only last so long because him and Dean's got to be first up on the pipeline after Brock, I think, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Somewhat.
please don't ever entertain the idea of John Cena and Randy Orton need to have a match again. Just
oh, you know they're going to do that at some point. There's only so many people on that show.
I hope it's, let's have a better matchup than Orton Cena. Let's do something that we haven't seen.
WrestleMania
Orton-
33, Gary. Orton Cena, the real last time.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, they're terrible. I just want to see something different with Orton. Maybe Orton Sheamus. You know,
No,
we have
They've
never
done that a lot, too.
Different.
that's worse. I think that's
kidding.
Gary's joke, but I think that's even worse than Orton Cena.
My sarcasm.
Orton Styles.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have.
Look at Orton Styles.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
that's the big thing about this. Once again, why we talk about AJ needing to beat Cena, because then he goes from just being one of these new guys to being a big star, and he can have those big matchups, and people will actually believe in it, and it matters. So, it is what it is. Let's talk about Becky Lynch versus Natalya, guys, and not overly. It was okay. Not overly impressed with it, but it was there. Natalya wins, Paul, and I'm a little surprised. I really felt like Becky Lynch would have won this.
Well, this had the unfortunate honor to follow Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens because God knows there wasn't anything else on this card that could have. So, I mean, hats off to them for trying. They worked a really good match. The crowd didn't give a shit, but they worked a really good match. And, I wasn't really... I don't think I picked Natty to win here either, but it makes sense. It keeps a feud going into SmackDown, something you can bank that women's division on for a little bit.
What do you think, Patrick? Do you think that you can come with Paul saying is the way it should be?
I personally was hoping Becky was going to pick up the win, but in my mind, I'm also hoping, aside from the fact of JBL consistently smashing 1 point home about the other females or other women's division match that I'm also going to talk about when we get to that match. I was hoping that they were maybe going to try and shoot for the 4 horsewomen fatal 4-way at SummerSlam. So I was hoping Becky was going to pick up the win. So that kind of upset me. But they're almost for the first time in God knows how long trying to do something with Natalya to where she's probably going to try and be the leader on SmackDown, in terms of the women's division. So you could kind of see why they could give her the win here. But yeah, this was the death spot of death spot in terms of its placement because of the match that we're going to talk about next and, that completely incredible match. So, I feel bad for both of them that they had to try and follow what they did. Because they were never going to pull it off. Nobody could.
What do you think, Sean?
I had Natalya winning because you have to establish Natalya as a heel here or this doesn't work. If you have Becky win, then what's the point of doing this feud? What's the point of having Natalya beat Turn? I thought Natalya actually did good here. She played with the crowd a lot, doing the submissions and everything else. It was going to be hard to even follow up the first women's match that we had because of all the hype around that. But I thought they did fine for what they got and for having to go behind the match they did, as Patrick noted. I think with this it's going to be difficult because you don't want to have 10 interpromotional matches going on at SummerSlam because then it really hurts your brand stuff if you're constantly having interpromotional matches. I know it's one of the big pay-per-views of the year and all that stuff, but you've got to establish these brands. You're already going to have interpromotional things with Survivor Series or whatever. You don't want to have right off the bat like 2 or 3 or 4 of these. Like you already have one with Brock and Randy Orton. Maybe you have another one, but I don't know that you want to go to the Fatal 4-Way that quick already.
Here's my question, real quick, just so I can ask. I plainly saw that they went for pinfalls. Was I hearing things, or was this match announced as a submission match?
It was.
When they were doing the intro. Okay.
But I swear that was like, they must have decided at that moment, because I don't remember them ever saying that in the build-up.
Oh.
I don't remember that either, and I also wasn't paying attention enough to what JoJo was saying during the announcement, so I'm of no help here.
Yeah, I could have 100% without a doubt sworn I heard JoJo say the following content is a women's submission match.
Oh, women's division match, I think is...
Yeah,
No,
women's division match.
Maybe? Ugh. I could have sworn I heard submission.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, no, Larry does not have it as a submission match here on the report, so I'm going to assume that she did say division match.
Mm-hmm.
That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, you are here, so...
I'm
Hey,
giving
Glenn.
you the gift of Smith. Drink it in, man.
I hated
got
that
drunk already.
segment. I just warned you, Glenn. I hated that segment.
I know. I heard it. That's why I said it.
Yeah, don't get kicked off the show, man.
All right. Sorry.
That's teasing. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, all right. I gotta say, like, just from everything that happened on the show, like, there were some pretty, like, uncomfortable botches, like, that occurred, like, just in the first match. I mean, did anybody notice that, where Bailey was getting knocked off the top turnbuckle and she hit her neck, like, on the very top buckle cover?
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Oh my God. I wasn't, I mean, that was just absolutely appalling and just terrifying. I mean, anybody else get the feeling that there were, like, more of those level of botches this show than compared to previous ones? I mean, for example, that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn one. I mean, when he was going for the Arabian moonsault.
None of them really terrified me as much as Big E's attempted spear through the ropes on Braun, because he could have died. So,
dear Lord, I mean, that's always terrifying. I mean, I know Battleground last year. I remember seeing Big E do that apron splash that he would do to Darren Young, and I was like, holy crap! I think he may have caved his lungs in.
Wow.
Just, I mean, it seems like so many that, like, that the level of risk is being enforced upon him in order to give that holy fecal matter moment for the fans. I mean, is anybody else getting that feeling as well, just by some of these risks that that wrestlers are taking?
What do you think, Patrick?
I'm not gonna lie, I missed the question.
Do you think that people were just? I mean, think the wrestlers were just doing big spots to get big pops from the crowd for that reason?
I mean, I could see it. I mean, in terms of, like, Big E's fault, that's a move that, you know, he kind of always does. So, I mean, I could see where that could be thought of, you know, with essentially wrestling itself trying to top itself now. So, you almost kind of have to put a little more risk in there to try and get bigger reactions from the crowd, because you want the crowd to feel like they have their money's worth. So, yeah, I can kind of see, you know, having to do bigger things now.
All right, and anybody's thoughts on that brainbuster on the apron during Owens and Zayn?
That was cool they let them do it. I didn't expect for them to let them do a brainbuster on the apron ever.
I thought it was a really clean spot too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is far away from the point that I was originally making, but I thought that was just really beautifully done. I mean, given the fact that it could go bad in 0 seconds flat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just it's amazing some of these moves. But has anybody mentioned anything about the Cesaro on the pre-show or kickoff show about some of the comments he was making?
We really didn't make a big deal about the pre-show. We usually don't, but you can kind of give me your thoughts.
So they were asking him about his opinions on Zayn and Owens for this evening, and it was very. He had that similar attitude of almost like aloofness, pissed offness that he had during the draft when he had that quote unquote shoot promo. But I mean, that's just really shocking that they're trying to get him to kind of go into this disgruntled state. I mean, is anybody else detecting that?
Should be disgruntled.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying creating this disgruntled character.
Well, I mean, that's the point. I think they're letting him do a little bit of what he's really feeling right now. And we'll see how it relates to when they actually have a show on Raw and what he does. You know, Del Rio came off a hell of a lot more disgruntled in his promo. He almost looks like he's ready to walk out the door.
Or slap another intern there.
Well, he. Oh man, well, Sin Cara's busy with fighting people in the ring right now. So.
Well, I gotta say, props to fake Sin Cara because he unlike original Sin Cara, he doesn't mind getting in a fight and possibly breaking a pinky and could still go on.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Glenn. Well, hey, man, give us your thoughts on the show and all. Kind of give us our overall thought process on what you appreciated, what you didn't like.
First thing that's coming to my mind is that promo with Enzo. That was gold. Just gold. I don't think I'd laughed so hard at one of his promos in a very long time. Like, I mean, I was even chanting the "How you doing?" Like, I mean, and that was just me sitting in my own living room. But I mean, that just tells you the level of following that he's giving the fans.
Mm-hmm.
The triple threat match at the end was beautifully done. Right guy won and pinned the very right guy, or maybe the bad guy. He's the guy that tested positive,
mm-hmm.
or the guy whose pee took a heel turn, unlike him.
Yeah.
Or the guy who knows any guy.
All right, well done. I concede that one, Patrick.
Well, give me your MVP of the night and give me your final rating of what this show 1 to 10.
I put it as an 8 on the poll. I mean, and I'm going to stick with that. MVP, I will say Zayn. Just that finish to the match was so masterfully done. I think this may actually continue the feud. I mean, I know they're building this up as kind of the war to sell the score, but I think we need at least a steel cage match in order for this to totally end.
Fair enough. What's your rating? What's your number?
I'd give it an 8.5. I mean, it was definitely better than Battleground last year, even though I actually attended that and fist bump Roman Reigns and toot my own horn, if you will.
God.
Yeah. There you go. That's
Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
yeah. So watch out for the hot bros. So
Oh yeah, I was totally surprised that they actually want to introduce Mojo in that sort of way, like as the rescuer for Ryder.
yeah.
I mean, with the fact that he's on SmackDown, Rusev being on Raw. I mean,
That was one of the stupidest segments I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I honestly expected at least one championship to change hands and then have rematch at SummerSlam, and then the person that was champion take their title back to their show.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. And we'll probably be talking about that in our final comments tonight. We'll be getting into that a lot more. Yeah. But, man...
final thing I have to say.
Go ahead.
Does anybody think a world title shall become brand exclusive, or will Dean Ambrose have to defend his title on both shows?
They're splitting those belts come hell or high water at some point, no doubt.
Yeah, two belts.
Yep. So,
and how would they do? How do you see them deciding the new champion for the second belt? I mean, this
Rollins versus Reigns. Rollins versus Reigns at SummerSlam.
I don't even know. They might do a tournament. They've been tournament happy recently.
No sort of Eric Bischoff putting the title on one guy and saying that he totally has earned it.
I don't see that happening. Yeah, I don't. I guess you could say Stephanie would do something like that. So Rollins would just be handed something, but.
And given the fact that her power actually supersedes the general manager position, I mean that this could be a legitimate thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. It really is, man. That's definitely a good thought process. So, well, man, Glenn, we appreciate you calling. We've got a lot of stuff to do tonight, man. We have you on all night, so thanks for calling.
I'm out of here. Have a nice evening.
You too, Glenn. Man, thanks a lot.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, man. So great talking to Glenn. Glenn's a lot of fun. He's a fun guy. So appreciate you calling, Glenn, and we'll be talking probably next show. So, all right, guys. Well, we've got several of the matches here to talk about, and we were kind of going backwards on the card, and we did skip over one. I did that kind of on purpose in a way because I wanted to kind of get a little mixed match here. We're going to go ahead and talk about it, though, really quickly. The Intercontinental title was up for grabs. The Miz came out, of course, Maurice, and, he put it up against Darren Young and Bob Backlund at ringside. This was one where I was kind of curious to see how it was going to work out because Darren Young has been winning basically by happenstance. It really, nothing he's done so far has been a true, honest win besides maybe the Chicken Wing win recently. So I just got to know, this was a double disqualification. Of course, you saw Maurice and Bob Backlund kind of be a big part of that. What did you think about this, Patrick? I mean, it was okay. It makes sense that they didn't change hands, though, because I don't think Darren Young's ready for that IC title just yet.
This whole thing gave me a damn headache. Like, legitimately, it just gave me a headache. One, obviously, number one thing, my ongoing and, unnerving hatred of The Miz. But just the whole thing, and especially with, what caused the double disqualification, the match itself wasn't great. And that's not even me just hating The Miz like I do. The match just wasn't that good. And then, basically, the entire match was just to get to a point where they're really going to turn Darren Young into Bob Backlund circa 1990. 94. And that part is really freaking weird. And then it didn't help that I think they botched the entire point where I think Backlund was supposed to shove Maurice, and he just never did. So, the whole thing just turned into a complete cluster, and I don't want to see Bob Backlund naked. It just, the whole thing was just bah.
Speak for yourself on the Bob Backlund naked thing.
I knew it. I knew that's what Gary wanted.
Again.
Paul, man, I mean, this was that time.
How does this not surprise me at all that Gary wants to see Bob Backlund naked, Paul?
Why do you want to see Bob Backlund naked?
Have you seen how powerful that man is? I mean, you saw the escalator video? Wow, he's got to be, something's going on there. Something part of his body is strong.
Some people might listen to this show and go, man,
That stuff they say about wrestling fans is true.
I'm just one of many guys.
You might have some of those people listening in who might think that guy Gary's onto something. You never know.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
We're not here to judge, folks.
But you are here to judge this match, Paul.
True story. This match is okay. I didn't have a ton of interest in it, and neither did the live crowd. I think it started finding something before we got to the ending shenanigans, and yeah, I mean, Darren Young as Bob Backlund 2.0 circa 94, as Patrick so correctly said, was, I don't know if that's something I'm terribly interested in, but, it's something, I guess. I don't know.
No, I mean, Sean, at least we got the chicken wing. It was to no, victory or anything, but it was there.
That's going to be the thing. Like, they're just going to start waiting for just the chicken wing at this point. If they keep doing this with Darren. I mean, the match was fine. Just the whole thing at the end was just so botched and so weird, and I didn't know what the hell I was watching. I think a lot of people just didn't know what they were watching, I think, and they were ready for it to be over.
You know what we weren't? Yeah, you know what we weren't ready to be over though, guys? This Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match, and for me personally, it was as we expected it to be, honestly. It was gold for me. I just thought it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a great match, and it's a feud that has been going on, it seems like, the dawn of their career, even though that's not true. It's just amazing the way these guys have worked together so much. They are a well-oiled machine. It's proven. Paul, I mean, I just got to know the words you're going to say, because I know there are probably going to be some amazing words speaking about this match. Just because it's such a good match, I'm waiting for Paul's eloquent, speech here. Come on, Paul, give it to me.
Paul and eloquence is not something I would put together at any one time, but I appreciate the compliment nonetheless. I mean, really, what can't you say about this match? It was great. It's a match that was so good that a botch, I think, helped it get to that next level, honestly. Sami Zayn fails on a moonsault, or springboard off the top rope with a moonsault on the outside and lands on his shoulder, and they seamlessly work it into the match because they're masters of their craft and they're just so great. And man, I mean, I didn't want it to end, but then it did, and I was okay with it. So, I'm match of the year candidate for sure. So great.
Yeah, Paul, I mean, I'll give that not quite a Downton Abbey. I'll give that something in the range of Doctor Who. Good job, though.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I know. But no, I mean, really, Sean, I mean, this was just an excellent match. I mean, it was one of those where I was so happy to see Sami Zayn won. I think it does maybe kind of allow them to move away from this for a minute, if they want.
Yeah, it does, and I hope they do, because you need to move away. If you didn't put them on different brands, you have to move away from it. The problem with not putting them on different brands is that anytime you have them involved with each other, they're going to come to blows, because that's how it is. Now, it could be a storyline where, it becomes so ridiculous between the two that they have to make them, maybe at SummerSlam, the loser leaves and goes to SmackDown or something. That's a possibility that could happen. Stephanie has her corporate buzzwords. Paul is the king of cool buzzwords. Paul just says, things that you never imagined they become slogans for the show later. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, talking about this match, though, Patrick, I mean, looking at everything and kind of what we're talking about here, do you feel like this is a match of the year candidate?
I almost feel like the botch actually helped, because like was mentioned, they were able to work it in and almost made everybody forget about the botched moonsault. But other than that, I would absolutely 100% agree that this is a Match of the Year candidate, which would, at least for the WWE, now make 2 Match of the Year candidates that Sami Zayn was in, obviously, tonight, and the match versus Nakamura in Dallas, and you could also include the Fatal 4-Way, that was Owen, Zayn, Cesaro, and that other asshole. So it's just,
Wow.
it almost feels like these two are incapable of having a bad match. And if there was a match that, even over the main event, deserved to be the longest match on the show, it's this, and it won. It beat the main event only by about 30 seconds, but this was the longest match on the show. And it maybe took them 3 to 4 minutes, because it went over 18. It maybe took them 3 to 4 minutes to get going, and then they just read it to 90 the whole rest of the way through. And yeah, the ending, I absolutely loved it, where Sami Zayn kind of teases a little bit of compassion after the first Helluva kick, and then says, no, screw it, sets him up and hits him with the second one. I thought was fantastic. Absolutely a Match of the Year candidate.
Yeah, I have a feeling like, this is going to be one that's going to stick with us for quite a while now. And like I said before, it's hard to go into this match and not expect that. And what makes it even better is it was just as good, or maybe better than I thought it was going to be. And my expectations were already high. And I think a lot of people's too, especially people that know this history. So, well, let's move on to another match that I don't even know if Sean really watched a whole lot of it, because trust me, Sean, if you had something else to watch while you're watching this, I may have been paying a little bit more attention to the other whatever you were watching. Rusev faced off against Zack Ryder here. Zack Ryder, of course, came out in the American garb.
The Stinger.
Yeah, the Stinger. Sorry. There you go. No, hey, that's true. They mentioned
him.
Really what it was. Yeah, they mentioned several guys, but you're right. The Stinger was the big one here. But, I mean, looking at this, Patrick, I mean, once again, Zack Ryder, he eats the pin. I don't think any of us expected Zack Ryder to win, though.
Happy 4th of July month, everybody. Who the hell expected Zack Ryder to win? Seriously, who the hell expected him to win? This is just a means of getting the U.S. champion onto the show. That's it.
This was to give you the illusion that you might have the titles possibly changing shows. The thing is, once Rusev won, you knew Miz was going to win, or there's going to be something happen that Miz kept the title, because they're not going to... Those singles titles, that they're staying where they are, because you have to have one per show. So, it is what it is. Like, I thought Rusev was... I thought he had beaten Zack Ryder up almost the whole show, the whole build. So why not here? It makes a lot of sense. I think what's worse is the stupid part afterwards, with Mojo just staring him down and like grunting in his face. I don't know what they were waiting for there, but it just came off really bad.
Why was Mojo drafted?
So you can have the hype bros, because Zack Ryder is incapable of being a single star, according to WWE.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this whole thing, Paul, I mean, like I said, the match is a match. You can talk about what you want, but I mean, is the whole purpose of this to keep the U.S. title with Rusev and basically to get the hype bros together?
I mean, that's exactly what that end segment was for. And Rusev looking at him like, who the hell is this guy? Why is he screaming at me? And then just slowly walking away because he doesn't know how to compute Mojo Rawley, much like most of us. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but I thought the match was fine. The fans were into Ryder for parts of it, and I mean, that's more than some other stuff that happened on this show. So, I mean, hats off to both guys. I think they put on a fun match. I really do.
It wasn't terrible. I think what I came into it expecting happened, and that's why I think I walked away just kind of like, But you're right. I mean, it wasn't god awful or anything. It was what it was, you know. Let's talk about the Wyatt family facing off against the New Day. Now, we know that Braun Strowman is no longer going to be with the Wyatt family. He may be entitled part of the Wyatt family. Maybe that'll eventually just disappear and dissipate as he hangs around Monday Night Raw without his compadres. But, you know, in the end, we have a very interesting beginning to this because the New Day do their shtick, and I kind of like. I thought it was fun. They did a good job in the shtick, and I love the Bone Crusher reference. Thank you, Big E. Oh, at least somebody else remembers. You know, I ain't never scared. So you know,
Who the hell?
that,
Actually, my question is, how many people? Probably what 99.8% of people that went over their head.
Oh, I'm sure, but old folks like me remember. So yeah, I loved it. I love Bone Crusher, at least for that song. You know, hey,
Yeah, I had that same look as I knew exactly who he was talking about, but that same thought of Xavier Woods, like, come on, really?
that's a look that Sean gives me a lot when I mention these old songs, like the Peter Pablo song I always talk about, you know. So
No,
you know,
you
gotta
picked
bring
the
back
weirdest rap songs.
You gotta love them. They're good rap songs. You know. But saying all that, let's that's music part of it. But we get into the match, and I think it was a pretty good match. It's two teams that really should put on a good match. And at the end of the day, Bray Wyatt does pin Xavier Woods, and of course Sister Abigail, the finisher there. I really enjoyed it, you know, and I guess this, of course, has to be a finale of this until later on. I don't know whenever they'll get back together. But saying that, what was your thoughts, Sean, on this whole thing?
No, it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was, you know. Braun Strowman didn't botch as much as I thought he would. So that's always a plus. These two actually work pretty well together, you know, because you can have Big E in there working with the two big guys and doing his thing. I wish Big E wouldn't do that spot, but, you know, at least he did it on the pay-per-view and not on, like, a Raw or something. So that's okay, I guess. You know, they sold well the whole thing with Xavier Woods and him being scared of Bray, and that's what was their demise, which, again, goes well with these stories, so I'm all for it, and it makes Bray look strong going into what you would expect would be a singles run on SmackDown now. But we'll see, because I don't know the timeline on Harper, but I imagine the Harper probably comes in and you reform the original Wyatt family at some point.
Mm-hmm. That's my thought process as well. Patrick, I mean, Sean mentioned Braun Strowman. I want to know what you think about the match, but I also want to know when it comes to Braun Strowman, he did look a lot better in this match, and I have a big feeling that they're going to really utilize this guy as kind of like maybe their new big show or just their new big man that they can feature.
Please don't have Braun Strowman change heel or face every other week.
Oh, God, I hope not. Either.
Big Show's getting old, man. You got to reinstall that switch somewhere.
And Big Show has officially been drafted to SmackDown. Anyway.
So now each brand has an up-down switch now. There you go.
Oh, wait, no. He just got drafted back to Raw. Anyway, in terms of the match, real quick, I'm glad that he's not dead.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I think part of that was, think about how he did the dive too. Essentially, Big E hit a brick freaking wall because he did it on Strowman. I think if he did it on Rowan or did it on Bray, he wouldn't have nearly landed flat on his head. But he just hit a brick wall of a man in Braun Strowman. So, yikes. The match itself, I didn't think was that bad. You know, you got the usual New Day shtick beforehand, which was, entertaining as always. I'm glad Udios is going to be an actual serial now. But I find it weird that of all of the times for the Christmas in July miracle of the Wyatt family actually picking up a pay-per-view win, of all of the times for it to occur, why did it have to be on the last freaking pay-per-view that they're going to be together as a group?
I think it's more about making Bray Wyatt look like something going into SmackDown, which is top-heavy for about 4 or 5 guys, and then you hit a whole lot of guys that they have done a whole lot of nothing with. And you got to do something. I think this does something for that. And he only pinned Xavier. Xavier doesn't do a lot of the tag work. It's mostly on Kofi and Big E, so I don't think the New Day lost too much face here, and I think Bray gained something out of the deal, so that's a win.
But it's just, to me, it seems like the way they would go with this now would be to give the Wyatt family a tag team title shot because of the fact that the Wyatt family beat the tag team champions. Technically, even though, like you said, Xavier never wrestled the tag title matches, but it seems like it would be destined for that. But as of, 16 hours from now, it's all for naught.
I mean, you put it to bed and the New Day move on to something else.
So it's just like, ho-hum, let's do this now and just get it done with.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. They're in a tricky situation, you know. You gotta build up that SmackDown show, and I think this show went a long way to trying to do something for SmackDown to get people to watch on Tuesday.
Maybe Luke Harper comes back and teams with Strowman.
Maybe. It's possible.
Yeah, it's saying that. Go ahead.
No, I was. Go ahead.
I was saying that. I mean, you mentioned that, Paul, that this really is to showcase. This most of the show is to showcase each basically star in the match to kind of prove why they're on that product, or this is what they're going to do to build them, or whatever. I kind of felt like this is a big match because of that. We've already mentioned Braun Strowman, but of course, you have Bray Wyatt being a guy who, like you said, needs to be in an upper echelon because he can be a great asset to SmackDown if they allow him to be. Do you have any fears or anything like that when it comes to that? Because we've seen him try, then take it away just as fast as they try.
Exactly. The thing with that situation, though, at the time was they had so many other things going on, at least at the top of the card, that you could sort of. I mean, naturally, you never want to sacrifice a star, especially when Wyatt was just so hot coming out of WrestleMania. Oh God, 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, and they just totally kicked the bed with him. And here we are, once again, still trying to rebuild that project, and they have to go somewhere with it now. They need stars on SmackDown, and Bray is somebody who has proven that he can be something, so you swing with that.
Yeah, very true. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. And before we get out of this match itself, I just want to mention real quick, New Day's got their cereal coming out, and it's going to be on the Raw brand. SmackDown needs their own cereal to promote, so I think the Wyatt family would be great. Bray Wyatt, come up with some kind of weird cereal. Maybe bark flavored, something like that. I don't know. Wood flavored, something to match the compound. I don't know.
Rocking chairs, masks, marshmallows.
Yes, I love it. There you go. See, Paul, a great idea. And of course, Bootios. We all know that's going to taste. Well, hopefully better than what we think it's going to taste.
Booty. We don't want Bootios to taste like booty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make sure it doesn't taste like booty, or we kind of. Could you imagine that? This is supposed to make you where you're not booty and it tastes like booties. It's just.
Yeah.
Maybe it puts the booty taste in your mouth so you know what not to be for the rest of the day.
Oh. I like that.
Like it says, they make sure you ain't booty.
Exactly.
One way or the other.
True that. Well, moving away from cereal discussion.
Maybe they have Bray be the new Count Chocula or something.
Oh.
And
turn Bray into a leprechaun.
You have Rowan and Strowman be the other two, the Boo Berry and the whatever thing.
Roman Reigns' hero will be Ada Rhodes.
Oh boy.
Ooh, I love it. There you go, Patrick. Cha-ching. I like that. Let's actually sell that. Well, anyway, we're gonna move on past cereal
I
talk.
don't
Like I
know. We
said.
might have to go to the FDA testing for that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a good cereal, and it's not a bad cereal. It's the cereal.
yeah. Oh, disgusting. The women's champion Charlotte, it was of course had a match herself. Of course, tag teamed up with Dana Brooke, which I know everybody was thrilled about. And then of course we had Sasha Banks facing them, but not by herself. She also had a tag team partner, a mystery tag team partner, which actually, Paul, you actually named it, and when we previewed this pay per view, and it was Bayley. That's right, Bayley made her debut. And that was really cool. I think for a lot of fans, the crowd was pretty pleased. If you ask me, I heard lots and lots of cheers. Of course, not everybody knew to sing the song. I was disappointed we didn't hear the song. Hey, we need some Bayley or want some Bayley. I think that could have happened, but apparently not. So, anyway, moving past that, I think it's great. We got a debut here. Patrick, what was your feelings on this? Did you enjoy this?
One night only. That's how this summed up for me. One night only. Because JBL just bashed it in your freaking head. One night only. She's not on any roster. She's not on the SmackDown roster. She's not on the Raw roster.
You know what? It doesn't
One night
really
only.
matter because that's how it was supposed to be with Kevin Owens too, and then Vince wound up liking him, and they stayed. So it all depends on if Vince listens to that kind of reaction and goes, you know what? I don't think she needs to leave. And honestly,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, because I was going to say, considering the fact that she probably got the second loudest pop of this year behind AJ's debut, they might think, hey, maybe we're on to something having her up here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard. I got a tweet during the show that they had to dispense a work crew to go tape the roof back onto that arena after that. So,
oh man,
big deal.
They definitely popped for the machines too, the wavy inflatable tube man. I mean, the crowd really loved that when those happened. So.
Yeah. In terms of the match itself, I mean, it wasn't a bad match at all, considering that when you look at the talent on both sides, it worked a lot better than it looked. That's what I was trying to say. Me fail English. That's impossible. But the match itself wasn't that bad. But I mean, the entire point of this was the crowd just wanted to see Bayley. So, and that kind of worked a little bit against Sasha, because it seems like if they're not going to go with the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam, it sure does seem like, this is all set in stone that we're going to finally get Banks versus Sasha, or Banks versus Charlotte for the Women's Championship next month in Brooklyn. So you kind of wanted Banks to be the focus, and thank God she got the win, and Bayley kind of just gets the assist at the end. But in terms of the match itself, I didn't think it was a bad match at all. I thought it was a great way to kick off this pay-per-view, taking a crowd that already seemed hot and kind of just dialing it up even more by having the debut that everybody wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a hell of a reaction right at the beginning. Like I said, I could be alone in that, but to me, that was probably the second loudest main roster debut reaction behind only AJ at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean...
hold on. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you do you, bud. Go.
I forgot that, they missed I know they don't want to really have them be shown together, but they missed a big opportunity to have Carmella come out one time with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, but didn't they on purposely put them on different brands? Because
I know, but I'm just saying, you do it one time only, you get to see Carmella and Enzo and Cass or whatever, like you saw them in NXT. I don't know. They could have done that.
Maybe they felt that they had the show too loaded with debuts already because it was kind of front loaded with them.
Maybe, but I don't think people would have popped that big for Carmella being there. It just would have just been something kind of cool. I mean, if they took the time to tell you that Bailey's only supposed to be there once, I don't see why, And this is what makes me mad about the way they did the stupid draft. If they took the time to tell you that Bailey is there one time, why can you not tell us why? Why can you not tell us why Bailey and Nakamura and some other people didn't get drafted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It really is. I don't know. I can't answer. I mean, you guys, can y'all answer? I have no idea.
They just didn't get drafted. I mean, that's just how it was.
It just doesn't make sense, though, for me, because if they were kind of playing it off kind of like a sports thing, it's like you don't draft one of the top defensive tackles just because, you're just like, we'll skip over him, which Nakamura, it's obvious that super talented belongs on a main roster of any organization we're talking about here. But, we all know that NXT needs stars. That's the real reason. But, I wish they would have said there's a few guys that are banned from being a part of this draft. There's a list we'll give you that can be drafted and a list that will not be allowed to be drafted. Do you see where I'm coming from here?
The easiest way to do it was to say no NXT champions could be drafted. That was it.
And no NXT challengers could be drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would kind of eliminate Alpha, though, at the same time. But
Alpha's not a challenger.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
It's Gargano and Ciampa, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But, going on your logic then, that would kick out Asuka. Actually, that kind of would kick out Bailey, because it seems like they're going Bailey-Asuka for Brooklyn. That would kick out Nakamura and Joe. That would kick out Dash and Dawson. But it's like, just at the very least, put that one rule in there. No champions can be drafted. That's it. That's all you would need.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that because, I'm trying to think on the top of my head, but I can't think of anybody who's a challenger or a champion who really would move up besides the ones that did go up. I agree with all of them. Yeah, I guess I would look at Aries in a weird way as being a help to NXT and not really a guy that I think Vince McMahon's like, we're going to get him over here. I
mean, there's probably people that maybe he likes more, but that they decided, okay, well, we need to stock the women. Mojo makes sense because they need, SmackDown does need another tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's not that they don't make sense. It's that in a logical, like I said when we did the draft, and before I even took Nakamura, I said they're not going to look at it like what Gary just said. If you say, okay, you're taking 6 NXT people, you're taking the 6 best NXT people. Those were certainly not the best NXT people they could have taken, but I'm just making the point that if you're going to use exposition in one instance, you should use exposition in all your instances, and not think that fans are dumb. But I think Vince keeps being surprised by how much people actually watch NXT every time that these crowd pops are crazy. So,
Yeah, definitely so. And I just want to ask this question, Paul. I mean, the crowd definitely went crazy for Bailey. Do you think that she lived up to, or maybe did what she needed to do to prove to Vince that she can be, can hang on this roster?
Absolutely. I think without Bailey, the rest of I'm not going to say the rest of the call-ups are meaningless, but I think if you had brought all 4 of them up together, maybe you would have found more success. And it's not just because I think Bailey is that big a face or even what completes the package, but she is, I think, the heart behind all that. And in that, all those 4-way mixtures that they did with those 4 girls for 2 years, I think she just sort of brings something both to the ring and to that whole backstage area that maybe lifted him up. And it certainly felt like they were on a different level in this match. I mean, even Dana looked better. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe it's just the Bailey effect. Maybe it's just the crowd amped him up that much or whatever. But at any rate, you got a great opening match, and Sasha's on her way to take on Charlotte for the women's title at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And, we'll have to see, further, instructions on Bailey, where they do and what they do. Because of the fact that, Patrick mentioned JBL placed it in your head very firmly that this is a one-off thing, but it doesn't mean that we won't see her sooner than later. I thought it was very interesting. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm almost wondering if it is sooner and we see her again at SummerSlam, helping Sasha, or essentially fighting off Dana to help Sasha beat Charlotte.
I would not be shocked if that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said it in the thread. I mean, that would make a lot of sense for her to be there and do that. And, you'd still need to find a way to get her on the SmackDown. I think you put her on Raw, you're really unbalancing the women. But, they can deal with that when you come to it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, that was the open. Just to throw out there this match, just in case people, want to hear us say anything about this, and I'll just let this be a freelance. Whoever wants to say what, they can. The Usos did take on Breezango, and, this was actually a better match than I expected, to be honest with you. You guys may have had a different opinion, but actually, for once, I enjoyed a match like this, and Breezango did win, and I think it worked. I kind of like the way they did the ending as well. So, anybody have anything to say about that?
Go Team Febreze.
Yeah. I couldn't believe the pop they got. I thought that was insane. It was a team that WWE has done zero with, except that whatever feud they had going with Golden Truth, that was a complete joke almost, and the crowd was way behind them.
I think part of it is, I think the Usos are now suffering from Rey Mysterio syndrome, where wrong place, wrong time kind of thing, when they got put with Roman, when Roman was, well, I would say at the peak, but, but was at a very high point of his hatred, and the fans are now getting sick of the Usos. So I wonder how much of that cheering was pro-Team Febreze and how much of it was more anti-Usos, because it seems like everyone's now almost totally being turned off by the Usos. I am included. I wanted Tyler and Fandango to win, so I was cheering for them. But I have to wonder, was it, like I said, was it pro-Breeze and Fandango, or was it just anti-Jimmy and Jay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you pop that hard just to spite the Usos for what Febreze got. I mean, the match was great too. They worked a really fast-paced 6-minute little thing there, and but I couldn't believe it. I mean, maybe you have to do something more with them. I mean, obviously this might just be a one-off thing, but do something with these guys if they're going to get this kind of reaction, or if it's
that's
possible.
what you would hope they're going to do on SmackDown. You don't have that many tag teams going on, and they're all in that sort of same level. American Alpha's coming up, but having an American Alpha Breezango first feud would not be bad. The wrestling's going to be good there, and it's going to be interesting from the crowd perspective. The Usos getting booed too, so it looks like their cousin Roman is rubbing off on them too.
It said Rey Mysterio syndrome.
I don't think it's
Good guys being booed to hell because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then it just continues with that.
They were also getting to the point where they're starting to get very
stale. Yeah, they're stale.
So I
Real
mean,
quick,
look, trying to make them more like the Young Bucks every match is not gonna help you either.
We'll just team them up with the club. The clubs are bad guys anyway. The club members are bad guys anyway. Here's my question. And it's something that I got shown. I don't know if it was in the W2M post about the pay-per-view, but it goes back to the full locker room, and it pertains to the Usos when they were showing, the locker rooms, everyone watching the championship match. Why was Jimmy Uso sniffing Becky Lynch's hair? And I'm not kidding at all.
Maybe he's being a little creepy, or he just happened to take the opportunity. He wanted to smell what it was.
Isn't he the one that's married, or is he not?
No, it's the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, It's whoever the unmarried one was. If Jimmy's buried, then it was Jay. If Jay's buried, then it was Jimmy.
And maybe he likes that Irish Spring.
I was gonna say, does he think that her hair smells like Shamrock Shake?
Maybe.
I could go for a Shamrock Shake right now.
Okay, but that part was really weird.
Yeah, that is. I didn't catch it, but now we'll go back and watch it. That's kind of funny. Never know.
Yeah.
We are going to have to rate this show, guys. We covered everything under the sun when it comes to this Battleground 2016 pay-per-view. So let's go ahead and do it. So, Patrick, go ahead and start us off here. What was your favorite part, worst part, and, of course, your rating?
Favorite part, far and away, Zayn and Owens. Like we have spoken on almost all night, easily a match of the year candidate, even outside of the WWE. WWE, easily. But I think that it could be worthy of at least a mention outside of just the WWE. For the worst part, all right, it's just going to sound like I'm nagging on the guy, but I actually do think it was the worst part. Darren Young versus The Miz. Just the entire botchiness of that ending with the fact that Bob forgot to shove Maurice or her heel broke or whatever, plus having to see, once again, naked Bob Backlund almost. And now finding out that they're trying to turn Darren Young into Bob Backlund 1994. Just the whole stupidity of that 5 minutes was easily the worst part of the show for me. What was the last thing?
MVP and rating. Go ahead and give me an MVP too.
Thank you. MVP, Sami Zayn. Absolutely, especially for the ending moments of his match. I thought he played it absolutely beautifully. Kevin Owens, absolutely played his part too. With Sami picking up the win in the end, on the Kevin Owens show, like everything else is. I hope bigger things are ahead for him. Talking like possible U.S. title run or IC title, whichever one he's a part of. I hope that he gets a good shot at it. In terms of a rating on the poll on Facebook.com/Wrestling to the Max, I gave a 7, but I'm one of those that occasionally I like to give a half. The not so good parts weren't that good. The great parts were great. I just don't think it was still, while being an above average show, definitely, I don't think it's kind of that upper echelon kind of deal. So I'm going to go with a 7.5, although I'm almost tempted to just automatically give it an 8, but I think there's a couple things that kind of don't sit right with me, especially the Intercontinental Championship match. It's just the kind of goofiness surrounding Natalya and Becky, I think kind of are a little bit of a drawback for me. And the fact that, Zack Ryder did what we were all expecting, no real surprises, and I think that was kind of part of it too, was no real surprises, plus the stupidity of Mojo Rawley's debut. I think I could still give it an 8, but I think I'm just going to gear it back to a 7.5.
All right, Sean?
I went with an 8. I think you have a match of the year candidate in there. You have another 4-star plus match in there in the main event. You have some. Most of the tags were good. Yeah, whatever the showing up of Bayley means, whether it's a debut and then a re-debut later, or a debut and she stays on, or whatever. That was a cool moment. It was the moment we all wanted. I jumped out of my seat. I was getting real, having that mark out moment, shall we say, of seeing Bayley getting to live the dream of being in a big arena and there with her friends and all that stuff. So that's cool. You know what? You didn't other than the Darren Young and Miz BS. Everything else was at least good. You know, you knew Rusev was gonna win, but they at least tried to do something with it. And yeah, the Mojo thing sucked, but it's a blip on the radar considering everything else on the show.
Who's your MVP?
I guess I gotta give it to Sami Zayn. He won a big match, beat his rival. He was able to seamlessly turn a what looked like possibly an injury into part of a match, and they started selling it really well. And so, props to that.
All right, Paul.
I was leaning towards 7.5, but I think I'm gonna give it an 8 too. The only things I really didn't like, I thought the highlight reel was too long, and I mean, really, Miz and Darren Young wasn't fantastic. That's really my only big gripes. Everything else was okay to really, really great. I mean, match of the night totally goes Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, as has already been said. I'm gonna give my MVP, I think, to Kevin Owens though, just because whenever Sammy gets up, he does hold the shoulder, but it's immediately on Kevin to read that, and he throws his shoulder into the ring post and then immediately goes to work on it. So I'm going to give it to Kevin Owens, even though Sami Zayn got the victory.
All right. I'm going to have to go an 8 as well. I really enjoyed this show. And, yeah, there weren't perfect moments all the way throughout the show. It happens on most of these shows. But I just think that overall, the feeling you walk away with is really good and very positive. Nothing that tears you down. Of course, I already said this. I completely hated the highlight reel. I'm a big Chris Jericho fan, and I just, right now, I kind of wish Fozzy had a world tour to go on. I just really, really do. Maybe I should suggest it. Maybe I can send him a message and say, Argentina really needs Fozzy. So he can come back fresh and a new character. I'm just kind of sick of this guy right now. And, of course, I think my favorite part has to be Bayley. I had to wipe tears away. I mean, I cried probably 30% of this match. But that's okay.
It's okay. It's totally okay.
Then, besides that, MVP for me, Mojo Rawley. I mean, I can't believe you guys didn't pick out Mojo. I mean, Mojo was the only guy that, Rusev said that, he was the Bulgarian brute, and of course Lana always says it's the only guy that can have her, but he apparently intimidated Rusev. He didn't even do anything, just walked away, so did he just prove that he's better than Rusev? I don't know. I'm kidding. Sami Zayn's the guy. But Mojo Rawley was a fun surprise. I know people don't really care for Mojo Rawley, but I kind of do want to see the whole thing with the Hype Bros, to be honest with you. To me, it helps. It helps Zack Ryder. They're not doing anything with him anyway still. So, moving away from all that and kidding around. We had a great show here, guys. I know I screwed up at the beginning.
Oh, no, wait. We can't end without this awesome Rusev on Twitter. I can't believe a fan jumped in the ring and nobody stopped him. I need a challenge. It's just too easy.
Wow, that is cool. Oh, that is cruel and cool.
Rusev just gets Twitter. He really does.
Yeah. And he stays in character too.
Lana on Snapchat.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So that is crazy awesome. But yeah, guys, that's our show for today. We had a great one. Of course, this is Wrestling Unwrapped to the max. I got it right this time, guys. I screwed up at the beginning. I apologize. I was just excited about talking about this card, and I just got away with myself. But we do have some other great stuff coming your way. Of course, after this show, Sean and Paul and Tom Reese will be doing a show. It's going to be about, right, Sean, the Super J Cup?
No, not about G1 night 2 and 3.
Oh, cool. G1 talk. That's awesome. So that's really going to be interesting. Tom Reese is an expert when it comes to New Japan. These guys, all three, know their stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you enjoy New Japan Wrestling, go check that show out. It is going to be a lot of fun. But make sure I give props to Patrick. Patrick, thanks for showing up. Your co-host Harry decided, he had to sleep or do something else. I'm kidding. He really has a serious thing going on. But we love to give Harry a hard
He didn't
time.
say he had to sleep. He had early morning.
I give Harry a hard time because Harry gives me a hard time, so I felt a little guilty. But you can do it, Patrick. You go ahead and do this shtick, and also plug your show.
You know what? I know very well what Harry's been going through lately, so I'm actually not going to take any shots at him because he's going through a lot of things. So I'm going to let bygones be bygones on this one. But hopefully, we are all going to be back to normal this upcoming Sunday, a week from tonight. As Harry and myself, and possibly Sean, if he can find the DVD and watch it within the next week, which is unlikely, we will be back as nothing says the month of Americans' independence like us talking about Canadian wrestling. So for the first time since coming to W2M, Harry and I will be talking about NCW Femme Fatales, in this case, their fifth show from Montreal, headlined by the NCW Femme Fatale International Championship match as the champion Lufisto takes on the challenger Ayako Hamada. So that will be this upcoming Sunday, usual channel, as always, on the W2M network. And that will be hopefully at our normal time of 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have a lot of fun with that one. And also, Sean, sorry about not being there last week.
It's okay.
Yeah, it
but it was my birthday weekend, so
yes,
I kind of had a reason.
It's your birthday,
Exactly.
man. You get an excuse for your birthday.
Yeah, Sean and Paul let me do the shirt, the show without my shirt on that night, my birthday. So, you got to party sometimes.
We might start doing video things. Gary, you're not going to be able to get away with that anymore.
Oh, great. Well, we don't want to know what I do during commercial breaks, right?
Oh,
we don't take commercials. I do, though. I'm kidding. But anyway, man, just to let everybody know, Harry, we miss you terribly. Really, hopefully, things are going great for you, and we want you back as soon as possible on Wrestling Unwrapped to the max, man. It's just not the same show without you. And of course, just to let everybody know, Wrestling to the Max is every Tuesday morning and Friday morning on the download for you guys, and we're going to be doing a little bit, things a little different. On Tuesday mornings, not only are we going to have our regular part one of our episode, but we're also going to do Monday Night Raw as its own show. That's right. You're going to have a special review show just for Monday Night Raw. That's all we're talking about, not getting into anything else. That way you just click on it, listen, and then move on, and then of course you can listen to the other show. It won't be so time sensitive when it comes to Monday Night Raw. And of course, we'll be doing a special show from now on, which will be all about SmackDown. The same thing we're doing like Raw. We're doing a special review show for that as well. You can catch that on Wednesday mornings on the download. We are live on these shows, though. If you ever want to come check us out live, we're always around on Monday night, Tuesday night live, and of course we'll be around on Thursday night live. That is on Spreaker.com. It's the only place you can find us live. And of course, there's a chat bubble and all these other great things for you to come find us. Hey, just, pay attention to the Wrestling to the Max Facebook page. You'll get a, some little bit of knowledge of when we're on, and it'll help you out. And so there you go, guys. Anything else, Sean, before we get out of here?
Yes, on that Monday show, not the Raw one, but the one with the regular episode, the 205, we will be reviewing Dragon Gate's Kobe World as well. So that's their WrestleMania, basically. And we will have a G1 Nights 4 and 5 extra that comes on right after that, too. So we'll get caught up on the G1 finally after we have been a little bit slacking because both Paul and I's real lives got in the way.
That's right. Sometimes, life trumps doing a show. I know it's tough. But yeah, we're at least doing it, and that's what the most important thing is here. So, With all that said, guys, we appreciate everybody who's checked us out. Once again, go join the W2M network. You can find all the shows we just talked about. They'll be right in your docket. Go rate, subscribe, do all that great stuff for us. We appreciate everything. And, of course, we'll see you next time. But anyway, just one last thing. For myself, for Patrick, for Sean, and Paul, we just want you to know one last thing. You're not living life to the max.
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.